Deep in the heart of Paris lives the richest woman in the world. She just inherited a $100 billion fortune from her family's company. It's enough money to buy every single NBA team in the league and still have $20 billion left over. And yet we know almost nothing about her. This woman is the heir to the most powerful cosmetics conglomerate on the planet. You probably pass by many of their products at the store today without even knowing it, but you wouldn't even recognize her if she walked past you on the streets. It's practically impossible to find a cosmetics brand that isn't owned by her family's company at this point. In fact, almost half of all skincare brands available on the planet are all controlled by this one company. Personal care products, makeup, hair, skincare, they own it all. And who is this mysterious company? L'Oreal. Everyone knows the name, their products are everywhere, and yet they've managed to keep their true power a secret from the public. And it's obvious why L'Oreal wants to stay low-key.
A lawsuit filed, and attorneys talking today about their case against L'Oreal and a Chicago laboratory. They're accusing the companies of knowingly selling relaxers that could lead to cancer.
Several women diagnosed with uterine cancer are now suing L'Oreal and other cosmetic companies after a recent study tied the illness to chemical hair straightening products.
Now, scientists have discovered that an ingredient aiding in absorbing UVB radiation called octocrylene can degrade into a cancer-causing chemical when used or left unused for more than a year. Now, the already controversial ingredient can develop into benzophenone, an endocrine disruptor that is banned from food products in the U.S.
Next time you're in the beauty supply store, you may want to take the time to read every single ingredient on the back of those products. And that may take some time, but it could save your life. A new study says a common chemical companies use for black hair care products can trigger breast cancer cells. My next guest has more on that ingredient you need to avoid.
And there's one woman, one family getting rich from it all, the Betancourts. Meet Francoise Betancourt Myers. She's the granddaughter of L'Oreal's founder and the richest woman on the planet. She's sitting on a fortune that's worth 15 times more than Donald Trump. And her family made this insane wealth by controlling what humanity puts on their skin. And what they put on her skin is not pretty. Stay dangerous, subscribe for more, and let's get into it. (1909) Paris, France. 28-year-old Eugene Schuler is a chemist who's trying to figure out how to turn his scientific knowledge into a profitable enterprise. The son of two pastry shop owners, Eugene was always smart and hardworking, but it didn't seem like he was destined for anything out of the ordinary. After graduating from the Institute of Applied Chemistry, he decided to take a job as a lab assistant and was headed down the path to becoming an ordinary university researcher. But then one day, as he was going about his normal chemistry experiments, everything changed. The owner of a local barbershop came into the lab, asking for help in creating a product that he thought would revolutionize the beauty industry: hair dye. While hair dye technically existed already, it was rarely ever used by women in France because it was seriously dangerous. There was a ton of lead in all the available hair dyes, which badly irritated the scalp and could lead to lead poisoning and death. Plus, it didn't even work that well. The color would drain from the hair quickly, and sometimes it barely changed the color at all. Women were hungry for a hair dye that actually worked without killing them. It was a huge opportunity. Eugene knew that and he wanted it all for himself. So he cut off the barber and began running experiments on his own to try to create the world's first effective hair dye. And at first, things weren't going as planned. He didn't quite get the formula right no matter what he tried. But he refused to give up. Eugene even tested his products on his own hair to try and get it right. But eventually, all that persistence paid off. Quote, "Finally, I had the good fortune which I think I deserved to obtain a product of excellent quality that allowed me at last to launch my company," end quote, he wrote when explaining his history. Eugene originally named the company the French Company of Inoffensive Hair Dyes, but quickly realized that it was too complicated and he changed it to something simpler, something catchier: L'Oreal. It was meant to sound like the French word auréole, which means halo, and it was the start of a revolution in the cosmetics industry. Eugene quickly went from selling his hair dyes to local hairdressers to controlling a beauty empire thanks to two things. The first was a proportional salary. Eugene developed a new way to pay his workers called a proportional salary. Instead of being paid hourly or weekly, they would earn proportionally to their production. If they didn't make enough products, they would get nothing. This saved Eugene tons of money, and it forced his employees to work as hard as possible if they wanted to take home a check. The second thing that changed his business was paid time off. Just as L'Oreal was coming up in the beauty industry and expanding its product base to things like sunscreen, a major change was brewing in American society: vacations. President Taft suggested that Americans needed some time off to relax and recharge every year. Eugene absolutely hated this concept, but it ended up working in his favor and it made him much more richer than he could have ever imagined. Since he was the best sunscreen seller on the block, his company blew up when people started taking to the beaches for summer vacation. By the time Eugene passed away in 1957, L'Oreal was well on its way to becoming the biggest beauty brand in the world. But then he died. Once his founder passed away, L'Oreal went to the rightful heir of the company, Eugene's only child, Lillian. Lillian's mother died when she was just 5 years old, so she had an especially close relationship with her father Eugene, and she was also just as close to L'Oreal. She was involved in the company since she was just a teenager, so while other teens were running around getting into trouble or working at lowly service jobs, Lillian was busy apprenticing at L'Oreal from the age of 15 doing hands-on work. She spent most of her time mixing products and labeling products like any other intern would. At L'Oreal, Lillian also met the love of her life. His name was Andre Betancourt, the deputy chairman of L'Oreal. In 1950, the pair got married, and only a few years later, she inherited Daddy's company. When the company landed in her hands, it was a perfectly adequate corporation. But it wasn't enough. This new generation of L'Oreal wanted to take it to the next level. They wanted to take over the beauty industry, so they slowly started buying out all the other beauty brands on the markets.
Moving on to another story, another acquisition earlier this week, French cosmetic group L'Oreal reportedly struck a deal with Brazil's Natura & Co. to buy ISO, its Australian luxury brand, at an enterprise value of $2.53 billion.
L'Oreal East Africa, a subsidiary of L'Oreal International Beauty Company established in Kenya in 2011, has acquired 100% holdings of health and beauty range of products from Interconsumer Products Limited in a bid to broaden product offer on the East African market.
1964. L'Oreal splurges to acquire the beloved luxury brand Lancôme. That same year, they also purchased a perfume company. 1965. They bought a hair care brand this time, Garnier. 1968. L'Oreal is now the proud owner of Andre Courrèges, a fashion and perfume house. 1970. They acquire another skincare company called Biotherm. 1973. L'Oreal officially enters the pharmaceutical market with the acquisition of a company called Santa Labo, and then they go on to buy another 3 beauty companies the same year. 1977. Now they're buying stakes in media companies like the magazines Marie Claire and Cosmopolitan. After all, if you're a beauty company, why not have control over what society deems beautiful? The L'Oreal conglomerate was on a mission. They didn't just want a piece of the beauty industry, they wanted the entire thing. And the trick was they didn't just invest in luxury brands, they also started buying up all the drugstore makeup brands as well. If anything, that's where the real money is at, because people who bought their makeup from drugstores probably aren't likely to look for new products. They just bought what was readily available to them. So if L'Oreal could own every brand on that aisle, it would basically be a never-ending fortune. By the new millennium, they had practically achieved the goal of owning it all. L'Oreal built itself into a multi-billion-dollar beast that runs over 35 of the most used beauty brands in the US and beyond. But the thing about one company owning all the options is that it allows them to do whatever they want with their products. Meet Marlene Coral. Marlene was just a normal 66-year-old woman from the UK who was looking for a way to rejuvenate her skin. Like so many other people, she recognized the L'Oreal brand and thought that they might have the secret to giving her skin some life again. A brand that's been around as long as L'Oreal had to be trustworthy, right? So Marlene purchased some of L'Oreal's Revitalift Laser Renew Anti-Aging Skin Cream at her local store. Quote, when I went into my local chemist, I spotted the L'Oreal Revitalift range and decided to give it a try, but it was the biggest mistake I ever made. After just 2 days of using the anti-aging cream, she looked in the mirror and was terrified by what she saw. Her entire face was swollen and covered in painful blisters. Quote, I was really frightened, especially as I have always taken great pride in my skin, end quotes. Marlene didn't waste any time. She rushed to the doctor where she had to get steroids and penicillin to fix her allergic reaction to L'Oreal's products. Her condition was so intensely painful that she had to take weeks off from work. It took her over 6 months before her skin kinda went back to normal, but she never fully recovered. Quote, I never had any problems with my skin. I am very healthy and look after myself. But now I have been left with skin problems as a result. Marlene was confused. She had been using anti-aging creams like that one her whole life and never experienced a reaction like that. She decided to go to a private doctor to get some more clarity on why this happened with L'Oreal. They found that her severe allergy was triggered by an ingredient in the cream called methylisodiazolinone, a preservative that's put into beauty products to increase its shelf life, which in turn makes it more profitable for L'Oreal. Marlene's story is a great example of how dangerous preservatives in beauty products can be. Preservative ingredients aren't doing anything good for your skin. They're in there just to make the product last as long as possible so that the company makes more money. And this is just one ingredient. Every day, the average American uses 9 different skincare products, which means they're exposing themselves to 126 different skincare ingredients that haven't even been regulated by the FDA yet. This includes both men and women, by the way. And 25% of women use more than 15 products on their skin a day. That is an insane amount of untested chemicals we are willingly putting into our bodies every day. And yet we wonder why people are getting fatter and sicker all the time. Sure, it definitely has to do with our food supply, but it also has to do with all these chemicals that we're lathering ourselves in. The most popular types of chemicals to use as a preservative are called parabens. This stuff prevents mold and bacteria from growing inside of products. But ironically, it's also known as one of the most dangerous preservatives you can use. And the thing about parabens is that they actually mimic a hormone in your body called estrogen. In men, that means your lotions, shampoos, deodorants, and so on are lowering your testosterone. Your body washes are lowering your sperm counts, and it's making the sperm you do produce abnormally shaped and slower moving. In women, parabens can make them infertile and increases the risk of breast cancer, which is especially messed up since L'Oreal's main customer base is women. In response, some retailers in the US are banning these types of ingredients, but not L'Oreal. The company owns half of the entire market. Taking out parabens would cost them billions. Instead, they're just finding clever ways around this issue like they always have. When asked why they include this toxic stuff in their products, L'Oreal simply explains, a few non-clinical studies suggested that a certain type of parabens, long-chain parabens, might cause endocrine disruption and breast cancer. Facts! The most widely used group of preservatives in cosmetics are short-chain parabens. They are safe, gentle, and efficient preservatives, end quotes. And to obfuscate it even more, they just list out parabens using their technical names so that nobody recognizes them, like methylparaben or ethylparaben or propylparaben or isopropylparaben and so on. Seriously, check some of the personal care products you have lying around right now, and if they have anything with paraben in it, throw it out. But here's the thing, parabens are literally just the tip of the iceberg. You can watch our full video on personal care products on the Evil Food Supply YouTube channel if you want to learn what else to look out for. But Jake, this is just a tiny amount that I'm rubbing on my skin. It's not like I'm eating it. Well, in reality, putting it on your skin might be even worse than eating it. Every time you lather cream on your face or blend eyeshadow into your eyelids, it doesn't just sit on top of your skin. No, little tiny pieces of it sip right through directly into your bloodstream. Meaning that if there's toxic stuff in the products you use, which there most certainly are, it is easily making its way into your body. If you use 9 of these products every single day, that small little dose of poison is going to quickly add up to a lot of poison. But don't feel bad, it's not your fault. No one taught us about this. Pretty much all the products out there have ingredients like this, so it's very, very hard to be safe about it as a consumer. Most people don't envision their morning skincare routine as a cigarette. In fact, they think they're doing their skin a favor thanks to all the lavish marketing claims out there. But in reality, a cigarette might just be the perfect analogy. Something like face cream or lipstick looks simple once it's made its way into your shopping cart, but in reality, we're talking about very complex concoctions. The average personal care product in the US has 14 ingredients in it, and all that stuff is more expensive than you might think. That's why L'Oreal has to lower its cost by getting their ingredients from the cheapest possible source.
The small, practiced hands of a 6-year-old. Shamil is breaking rocks at an Indian mine so that the Western world can sparkle. He and his fellow workers are mining mica. Among other things, this crystalline rock is used to make pearlescent paint for luxury cars. It is also what gives cosmetics the shimmer that's so in vogue these days.
Mica is the thing that makes all those sparkly eyeshadows and highlighters shiny, but it's difficult to get and expensive if you're going through the proper channels. So instead of sourcing it ethically, big brands like L'Oreal buy it from these places.
Today is payday. After 2.5 months of backbreaking work, Joseph, the buyer, arrives.
Hello. Do you have the money?
Oh,
Tell me how many kilos is this?
Around about 6 tons.
6 tons.
For 6 tons of mica, the 9 of them will only receive a total of $240 US, and they'll get about half of it as Joseph deducts the cost of their food. A vicious cycle.
Unregulated mines that provide the cheapest mica money can buy. By getting their ingredients from modern-day slaves, it saves beauty companies like L'Oreal billions, while these workers don't have any other choice.
How do you feel about the fact that your work is going to generate so much money for somebody else?
While L'Oreal insists that they're trying to clean up their supply chain, that's pretty much what every big conglomerate says, and is nowhere near perfect. And mica is just one of the ingredients that L'Oreal is getting from sus places. There's also stuff like palm oil, which L'Oreal says it uses in skincare products to moisturize and soften skin. But the real reason why they love it is because it's really cheap. That's why lots of companies are destroying entire rainforests to make way for even more palm oil plantations.
The rapid expansion of palm oil plantations has led to the destruction of huge areas of tropical rainforest, creating dangerous CO2 emissions and destroying the remaining habitats of already endangered species.
It's extremely cheap. It's shelf stable. It has natural preservative qualities. It is a really good vegetable oil, but the fact is, it has been grown in a way that's caused a lot of environmental damage and has also impacted communities and the workers that have been employed to harvest the material.
And then there's carnauba wax. L'Oreal just came out with this groundbreaking waterless sunscreen, whose main ingredient is carnauba wax. It comes from a tree in Brazil, and it goes into all different types of makeup products, from lipstick to mascara. But these farmers don't have any leverage over L'Oreal, so L'Oreal takes it for the lowest possible price. And this job isn't easy. One federal cop investigating the industry explained that carnauba harvesting is a painful activity because the working conditions under the sun in the northeast aren't easy. It's extremely manual, heavy work using hand tools. A worker from one of the plantations said that, "It's so hot we stop for a bit because otherwise the sun would kill us. We can only cope with so much." And L'Oreal is one of the biggest clients for these unethical harvesting operations. Almost every ingredient inside L'Oreal's products, from their skincare creams to their makeup products and hair dyes, can be attached to the suffering of thousands of people. Their products aren't just putting you at risk, but countless of other people all around the world as well. And it's especially messed up considering that most of their products don't even work. Possibly dangerous ingredients harvested by slaves? That's one thing. But the real punch in the gut is that L'Oreal's products, the ones that have earned the Bettencourt family hundreds of billions of dollars, don't even work. That's right, they have everyone lathering poisons on their face with the promise that they'll rejuvenate or repair their skin, but their products do absolutely nothing. L'Oreal's claims are so outlandish that they have been sued on multiple occasions in major lawsuits for lying about what their products do. Just a couple years ago, L'Oreal got called out in a class action lawsuit that said that they were defrauding shoppers thanks to the claims they made about two of their anti-wrinkle products. Their collagen moisture labels promise that they will smooth wrinkles and restore the skin's cushion, but the court says that their products simply can't do that. L'Oreal said that customers should have known that they were just exaggerating, but the court didn't agree with them and is still seeking damages. Another lawsuit said that L'Oreal was doing pretty much the same thing with the Revitalift Wrinkle Repair Cream, the same one that gave Marlene that scary allergic reaction. All of the 17 products in the Revitalift line are under fire because a huge part of their marketing strategy is saying how they help reduce wrinkles. Many of their products claim to repair wrinkles and repair the skin barrier. But once again, the court says that all of these are just empty promises. L'Oreal is just a bottle of lies. And right now you might be thinking, well, I'm just gonna not buy L'Oreal anymore. But that's where they got ya. Because L'Oreal is so big that they're almost impossible to escape at this point.
There is a lip gloss that is very expensive, that is very bougie, and it's made by YSL. It is called YSL's Rouge Pur Glossy Stain. It is $45. Well, there's another lip gloss that looks very similar, and that is by L'Oreal. Except the L'Oreal lip gloss is only $1.97.
Every product you pick off the shelf at Sephora or at a convenience store has a high chance of being owned by either L'Oreal or by one of the other giant conglomerates like Unilever that do pretty much the exact same horrible things. And even if you try to only buy cleaner looking products like Burt's Bees or Mrs. Meyer's for example, it's the same story. These two brands might look all natural, and they have that cute aesthetic that makes it look like a mom and pop brand, but in reality, Mrs. Meyer's is owned by S.C. Johnson, and Burt's Bees is owned by Clorox, and it has things like seed oils in it. This can make shopping for personal care products feel impossible because you never truly know what company is behind it and what is actually in their products. I ran into this very same problem. As I learned about how modern personal care products cripple your health, I realized that cutting these out is as important as your diets. But the problem was that even though there were all natural moisturizers and face creams on the market, I could never find one that I liked. All of them were too thick, too weird, they clogged up my skin, and most importantly, they didn't feel as satisfying to put on your skin compared to commercial lotions and creams that use all those toxic ingredients to get that smooth finish. So that's why we spent the last 6 months developing our own. And today I'm proud to finally unveil it. Introducing Evil Good's Whipped Tallow Honey Balm, an all-natural cream that you can use every day as a face cream, body lotion, or lip balm. And I'm proud to say that after testing everything, this is the best all-natural cream on the market. And it's the only thing that I use on my skin every day. It looks, feels, and smells just like a regular cream, and because it's made with just 4 all-natural ingredients, it will nourish your skin better than any other chemical cocktail on the markets. And you can pick it up right now on Amazon with the link below. We set out to use only the finest ingredients in our Whipped Tallow Honey Balm that are backed by both history and science. We use grass-fed and grass-finished beef tallow from cows that are raised right here in the US. Tallow is rich in skin-loving ingredients like vitamin D, E, choline, and fatty acids. We combine that with the antibacterial and anti-aging effects backed by studies of Manuka honey, a special strain of honey made only in Australia and New Zealand by bees that pollinate the native tea tree. We whisk in some organic cold-pressed olive oil for its moisturizing magic. We add in some extract from the pot marigold flower, a flower that has been used in skincare for centuries. We whip it up to give it a light, airy texture that is oh so satisfying to spread on your skin. And what you get is the absolute best skin cream you could have ever asked for without any BS. It's proudly made in America, and yes, that is me at our manufacturing facility in America inspecting everything to make sure that you and me are only putting quality stuff on our skin, because again, this is the only thing I put on my skin. Evil Goods is on a mission to give a giant middle finger to all the corporations that are poisoning us. So if that's a mission you can vibe with, do your skin a favor and pick up a jar for yourself right now on Amazon by clicking the link below. So buy now with the link below, and as always, stay dangerous.